I took back the car I bought my son for graduation after he wrecked it, showing off for his friends in the first week. My son Marcus turned 18 in April and graduated in June. We'd been talking about a car for about a year at that point. Nothing flashy, a used Honda Civic 2019, good condition, about 14,000 miles on it. I paid $11,000 for that car. I had been putting money aside since he was a sophomore because I wanted him to have something reliable when he started college in the fall. He cried when I handed him the keys, like actually teared up. His mother got the whole thing on video. I had one rule. 1. Don't drive with more than one other person in the car for the first 30 days. New driver, new car, let yourself get comfortable before you've got 3 people in the passenger seat distracting you. He nodded, said he understood, shook my hand. That was June 7th. June 12th, I'm at work, and my phone rings. It's Marcus. He's talking too fast, and his voice is doing that thing where he's trying to sound calm, and it's making everything worse. He tells me he got into an accident. I ask if anyone's hurt. He says no. I ask where he is. He gives me an address about 6 miles from our house, a parking lot behind a strip mall. I got there, and the front right side of the Civic was crumpled into a concrete median. The bumper was hanging off, the headlight casing was shattered, and the hood had buckled up on one side. I just stood there for a second looking at it. Marcus was sitting on a curb nearby with his 2 friends, Kyle and Devin, both of them in the car. 5th day he had it. He had them in the car on day 5. I asked him what happened, and he just looked at the ground for a while. Then Kyle said something under his breath and actually laughed, and that's when I understood. I looked at Marcus. What were you doing? He didn't answer. I asked again, louder. His friend Devin goes, he was just doing donuts, man. It wasn't a big deal. Just doing donuts. Marcus finally looked up and said, Dad, I'm sorry, I know, and I held up my hand because I genuinely did not want to hear it right then. I called a tow truck. $3,200 in damage, and that was the shop giving me a decent price. I paid it. Then I went home and put the title back in my filing cabinet. When Marcus got home that night, he came straight to my office. He sat down across from me and said he'd pay me back. I asked him how. He said he'd get a job and make payments. I told him that was a good plan for the repair bill. He asked what I meant. I told him I was keeping the car until I decided whether he was going to have it at all. He said I couldn't do that because I'd given it to him. I asked him who he thought paid the tow truck that afternoon. He didn't say anything. His mother thought I was being too hard on him. She came to find me after dinner and said he'd learned his lesson, that taking the car away at this point was just punishing him for an accident. I said it wasn't an accident. Accidents happen when you're doing everything right. This happened because he put 2 friends in the car on day 5 and started doing donuts in a parking lot to impress them. She asked how long I was going to keep it. I said I didn't know. Marcus spent about a week assuming I'd come around. I could tell because he was being helpful around the house in this very deliberate, pointed way, doing dishes without being asked, mowing the lawn twice. The second week he stopped doing that and just got quiet. 3 weeks after the accident, he came and found me on a Saturday morning. He sat down and said, Dad, I think I know why you're doing this. I waited. He said, it's not really about the money. I said, no, it's not. He said, I had Kyle and Devin in the car because I wanted them to think the car was cool. He said, so what do I have to do? I told him to pay back half the repair cost, which was $1,600, and to not ask me about the car again until he'd done that. He got a job at a hardware store 3 days later. He made the last payment on a Tuesday in September. I handed him the keys the following Friday, 2 days before he left for school. He hasn't asked to drive with passengers yet.